Writing a book takes forever. I mean, months, if not years. And that can be pretty discouraging. I'd have bursts of productivity, and then I'd have weeks of silence. But then I found something simple, something almost obviously simple, that has transformed my productivity: tracking my word count. That's it. And by the end of this video, I'll show you how I track my words, why it works, and how it's made me a more productive and motivated writer. Oh, and I'll show you how many words I've written in the last 3 years since I started tracking my words. Let's get into it. My name is Colby. I'm an aspiring fantasy and science fiction author. I have a very busy life. I work 40 hours. I do a lot of things outside of just writing, but I've still managed to write 3 books in 3 years. None of them are published. But that's not the point. Someday, hopefully, one of them will be, or future books will be. What I do here is give you guys tips, if you're on a similar journey, on how to be more productive and have a more fulfilling, sustainable writing life without burning out. There's a theory that it takes 1 million words to become a professional grade writer, meaning you can sustain some level of a lifestyle with writing only when you hit that level of words based on the craft that typically comes along with it. The first time I learned that hit me pretty hard because that number is huge. And then I realized, how would I ever know when I've hit that number if I'm not tracking my words? So I decided, no more guessing. I'm gonna start tracking them. But first, let's talk about the hard stuff. As a writer, we face a lot of invisible roadblocks. Things like procrastination, distractions, a serious lack of motivation some days, and the mental gymnastics that we go through when we tell ourselves that we'll write later. Personally, I've had weeks, even months, where I didn't write a single word, and I beat myself up over it. But you know what the worst part of it is? I still didn't know whether or not I was making progress, even when I was writing, because I wasn't tracking it. So everything felt slow. Felt like I was in writing quicksand. Does that sound familiar to any of you guys? Well, here's how I fixed it. I started tracking my words. Every day, every project, every session. I originally started doing this, and still partially do this, with a website that I use called Campfire Writing. I'm not sponsored. That would be sweet though. But I use them to write. It's a free website. There's a ton of customizable things you can do with it. Outlining, timelines, characters, magic, religions, systems, all these types of things. And there's a manuscript tab. All of that has a free option, but it's limited. But what's really cool about it is you can pay for only what you need. So for example, the manuscript tab, it's $1.50 per month to have unlimited amount of words you can write in that manuscript tab. So that's what I do. I pay for that tab. It's $1.50 per month. What I love about that website though is it automatically logs and tracks your words for you across projects. I'll show you exactly what I mean. Okay, this is Campfire Writing. So I've logged in. We're gonna go, let's say, to this project, Providence Unbound. It's a book that I'm currently revising. On this, you can go to this section, Words Written, where it tracks it for you. Then it breaks it down by day over the whole year. So you can see on this portion here, which is like January through kind of like March, April, I was writing this book extremely consistently. So for this project, it was tracking those words. I'll just show you this square. If you hover over it, so that day I wrote 1,244 words. The lighter the box, the less words. So for example, this one's darker. Dang, I wrote a lot that day. I wrote 6,858. Actually, I just remembered this. The day that I wrote the climactic part of this book, look at that. 10,051 words in one day. That was insane. I've never even come close to that any other day, but I was zoned in. I was locked in. So you can see, you can keep track of all that on here. Still though, I wasn't only using Campfire Writing to write my books. A lot of times I would either use Microsoft Word or I would use Google Docs as well. So I still needed a better method to track the words. I also didn't like that I'd have to switch between these projects to see my word count. So here's what I did. I created a Google Sheet that tracks my daily word count. I set it up to calculate my daily, monthly, and yearly writing. So if I put in, let's say I wrote 1,000 words today, it will adjust that month and it will adjust that year off to the side automatically for me. Don't worry, I'll show you exactly how you can set this up yourself later in the video. But I didn't stop there. Once I started tracking my words, I started making goals for them. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on this video about the power of creating goals, even though it is extremely powerful. There are numerous studies out there that show people who create realistic, achievable, timely, all these different factors of goals are way more likely to not only achieve them, but to stick with it long term. So once I was tracking my words, I created word count goals for months and for years and attached them to that sheet so I could see it in real time as I was making progress. Like a video game bar, it was going up incrementally over time to level up. And honestly, once I started doing this, the results blew me away. I started writing more consistently, I started focusing more during my writing times, and I actually even looked forward to writing because I knew that it was going to be a positive for that day. Each time I would write and input it into that Google Sheets, it was like a hit of dopamine because I'm like, yes, success for today, my numbers going up. Now I find myself thinking like, hey, if I write consistently, I might beat last month, or I might beat last year, or I might get that much closer to that 1 millionth word written. And it kind of made it like a game. And I think we all love games, especially writers. We tend to like video games, board games, stuff like that. So it gamifies that process. But this isn't just a me thing. There's actually been specific studies done for authors on this idea. Some of those studies show that writers who create clear, measurable goals with word counts tend to be far more productive and hit those goals than their counterparts who don't, especially when those goals are visual. And tracking your words is about as visual as it can get. Okay, so if you're thinking, I want to do this, I'm going to show you how. This is what mine looks like. So it's 2025 goals. And over here I have the totals of the months. So each time I input something, it automatically updates over here. For example, in January, I didn't write a ton. I wrote 6,545. You can see over here the exact days. So it shows the day of the week, the date of the month, which week it is, and the words written. Like this day, I wrote 1,244 words. I inputted that in here. It adjusts the monthly total down here. And then over here, it would adjust the monthly total for January, which would therefore adjust the yearly total for 2025. I don't go in here daily and put this in. Usually a few days at a time, I'll go and check and input stuff. So if you want to do this, open a new sheet. We'll do that together. While I do this, I'm going to explain some things, then I'll speed through parts so that way you're not just sitting there while I'm typing things. But let's get started. So if you want to select something here on the left, and let's call this 2026 goals. Then you're going to go through this column and you're going to be typing in the months. Okay, so I'll skip through this. Okay, after you have the months, just label this one total. And then we'll come up to here. We're going to leave this column blank for now because we'll have to put in an equation later. I'll show you that. So let's come over here. We're going to title this one January. This is going to span across 4 columns. So highlight all 4 of those. Come up to here and click merge cells. Then if you want, you can make that in the center. You can mess with the fonts and stuff like that afterwards. This first column is going to be week. Then the next one is day of week. Next one is date. And next one is word count. Now what's nice is, at least on Google Sheets, there's some like intuitive AI stuff involved. So if I type in Sunday, and then Monday, and then Tuesday, I should be able to highlight those 3 and drag down, and it will intuitively keep the weeks going. So let's see if it does it right. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yep. So I could go all the way down for the rest of the month. We're going to drag that down. Let's just arbitrarily go to there. We'll fix it later. Okay, now let's go to the date. So I just checked. January 1st is on a Thursday. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can grab that like we did before, and you can drag down until we hit 31, because there's 31 days in January. And now that I have that, I can grab these and drag it all the way down to hit that 31. There we go. Now I can do this. I can get these first 7 days. I can click 1, and then I can click merge. There we go. And then I can do that for the rest of the weeks. There we go. I'm curious, how do you guys count your weeks? I go Sunday to Saturday in my brain. Sunday's a new week. I know some people do it differently, like Monday to Sunday. Just curious. Okay, so at the bottom of this, I'm going to type in monthly total, and then I will grab 4 columns and I will merge them, and then I'll center that. Okay, so at the bottom of this, I'm going to type in monthly total, and then I'm going to grab 3 columns and I'm going to merge them, and then I'll center that. Now here's where the equations start to come in. So for all of this, we're going to want all of those numbers when you're adding in each day to add up to the total down here. So what you can do is in this very bottommost column, type in equal sign, type in sum, click that first one, sum of series, and then it's going to ask you to put in some values. So we would come up to here on the word count column, right next to the date column. You're going to select all those days of that month of January, and then get them highlighted and click enter. That's going to make that a 0. So now let's say on the 17th of January, I wrote 12 words. It's going to add 12 to the very bottom. And it'll do that the entire month. So now we can come back over here to the very top, and that column right next to January, you can type an equal sign, and then you don't have to type anything else. You just go down here and you click on that total there. So it puts in that cell and you click enter. So now that will reflect this number. So let's say on the 24th, I wrote 12. It changes that to 12, and it changes that to 12. Now, if I go to this total down here, I'm going to click in enter sign, sum, click that first one on the top, and then I will select all of these and push enter. So now these will reflect. So the total of January will hit the total of January here. And then each month as I add more, let's say just for time's sake, I'm going to put 12 there. So now that total for the whole year is 24. Okay, so that's basically it. So now you would just redo that entire process that I did for January for each month. You may have seen some coloring. I'll go back to mine. This is a total flavor thing. I just like the way this looks. You can mess with all this in your fonts and colors. I like to make a different shade of gray for the days of the month that aren't correlated to an actual day, because like not every week starts, or not every month starts on a Sunday. And then I also like to color the weekends differently. Just a me thing. You do not have to do that. But if you do all of that, then you should have a total that you can keep track of. So to recap, writing is hard. It takes a long time. But if you track your words, it can make it more sustainable and feel like you're making more progress. It's visual. It gives you dopamine. It makes it like a game. And that is when it gets fun. If you guys feel like you're getting benefit from this channel or from this video, subscribe. I'll post more stuff like this about creating healthy habits for writing to make writing sustainable even while having a busy life, so you can achieve those dreams of one day publishing a book and pulling your book off the bookshelf. Oh, hey, before you go, like I promised, I'll show you how many words I've written since I started tracking my words. All right, so here it is. You can see that total, 671,480 words. You can see I didn't start tracking my words until October of 2023. And then that number's insane. I did NaNoWriMo that month. I don't necessarily recommend that unless you really, really want to do it. I literally went to work and then wrote. That's like all I did that month. These other months reflect more about how my life normally is. But hey, that's a pretty good number. I'm on my way to that 1 millionth word. All right, this is your sign. Start keeping score. Let your progress motivate you. But hey, as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Keep writing.